The truth behind the Mini-14's reputation. Everyone knows the Ruger Mini-14 as that reliable little ranch rifle sitting behind a truck seat or hanging on the wall of a farm shop. It's been sold for decades as a dependable, civilian-friendly carbine. Simple, classic, and uncontroversial. But beneath that wholesome reputation lies a far more complex and surprising story. The Mini-14 has a history filled with design compromises, hidden improvements, and little-known secrets that Ruger would rather most shooters never notice. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 of the most fascinating facts about this rifle. Details that will change the way you see the Mini-14 forever. 1. More AR-15 than M14, the hidden DNA of the Mini-14. At first glance, the Mini-14 looks like a scaled-down M14. Same classic stock, similar silhouette, and even the name suggests a miniature version of a battle rifle. But that image was carefully crafted. In reality, the Mini-14's internal design owes just as much, if not more, to the AR-15 than to its bigger M14 cousin. Jim Sullivan, one of the original engineers behind the AR-15 itself, partnered with Bill Ruger in the late 1960s to design the Mini-14. Their goal wasn't to build a military powerhouse. It was to make a lightweight, reliable, and affordable rifle that would appeal to civilians and not trigger political backlash. When the rifle hit the shelves in 1973, Ruger's marketing deliberately avoided the AR connection. They emphasized the Mini-14 as a rugged, practical ranch rifle, a firearm you could use to protect livestock or shoot varmints without alarming the neighbors. Underneath that conservative exterior, however, the Mini-14 was an engineering hybrid, a rifle borrowing the best ideas from the Garand, M14, and AR-15, combined into something that could be built cheaply and sold widely. 2. Early accuracy problems, the pencil barrel problem. One of the most closely guarded secrets of the Mini-14's early years was just how inaccurate those first rifles could be. Pre-180 series Minis were built with pencil-thin barrels, barely over half an inch in diameter. That made them cheap and light, but it also caused a major problem. As the barrel heated up after a few shots, the point of impact would wander dramatically. Shooters reported groups shifting 2, 3, even 4 inches after a single magazine. The phenomenon, nicknamed heat walk, meant your first shot might be on target, but the rest could land almost anywhere. This wasn't just a matter of barrel thickness. Ruger's commitment to affordability meant looser manufacturing tolerances, inconsistent stock fitment, and sometimes uneven gas block clamping, all of which further eroded accuracy. The result was a rifle that looked great, ran reliably, but often shot groups in the 3 to 4 MOA range, disappointing for anyone expecting precision. 3. Cost-saving shortcuts, from bolt hold open to receiver casting. The Mini-14's design includes several features that were chosen not because they were the best option, but because they were the cheapest. A great example is the original bolt hold open mechanism. After the last round, the bolt would lock back. But instead of releasing with a simple button press like most semi-autos, you had to reach inside and manually trip the catch. It was clumsy and slow, but it saved Ruger money in manufacturing. Likewise, Ruger's receivers were investment cast instead of forged. This choice allowed for faster, cheaper production with less machining, but it also led to some rougher-fitting parts and visible gaps in wood stocks. These compromises made the Mini-14 rugged and inexpensive, but they also held it back from the kind of refined performance seen in more expensive rifles. 4. A unique gas system, cleaner and smoother cycling. Despite those shortcuts, Ruger did introduce a clever gas system that set the Mini-14 apart. Borrowing from the M1 Garand and M14, the rifle uses a short-stroke gas piston, but instead of venting gas and carbon directly into the action, the piston runs inside a sealed cylinder beneath the barrel. This keeps the receiver cleaner and reduces fouling, allowing for smoother, more reliable cycling even after extended firing sessions. The piston stroke is precisely measured, about 5/8 of an inch, just enough to cycle the action without hammering the internals. And while the cast steel receiver isn't forged, it's made from high-strength alloys like 4140 or 4340 and heat-treated for durability, giving the rifle a long service life despite its budget-friendly roots. 5. Built to eat any ammo, but with a trade-off. Ruger designed the Mini-14's gas system with reliability as the top priority. The gas port diameter, around 0.090 inches, is intentionally large to ensure the rifle cycles even with underpowered .223 loads or dirty chambers. This overgassing makes the Mini-14 famously dependable in harsh conditions. It keeps running when other rifles choke. The downside? That oversized gas port also makes the action cycle aggressively. Brass cases get thrown 20 feet, and the bolt slams home with authority. It's part of why the Mini-14 feels so tough and unstoppable. But it's also a reminder of the trade-offs Ruger made between refinement and reliability. 6. Rare variants. The secret .222 and the Mini-30. Most shooters assume the Mini-14 was always a 223/5.56 rifle, but that's not the whole story. In the early 1980s, Ruger quietly produced a rare .222 Remington version exclusively for export. Many countries restricted civilian ownership of military calibers like 5.56 NATO, so Ruger built the .222 Mini-14 for those markets. It looked almost identical to the standard rifle, but the barrel was stamped .222 and production numbers were extremely low, likely just a few thousand units. Today, those rifles are collector's treasures. Then, in 1987, Ruger launched the Mini-30 chambered in 7.62 by 39 mm to capitalize on the flood of cheap AK ammo entering the US. The idea was brilliant. A classic, familiar platform firing an affordable and effective cartridge. But early Mini-30s had their own issues: barrels with long throats, unreliable ignition on hard primers, and inconsistent performance with steel-cased ammo. Despite the flaws, the Mini-30 proved the platform's adaptability. 7. A quiet military and law enforcement career. While Ruger marketed the Mini-14 as a civilian rifle, it quietly served in uniforms around the world. The Royal Bermuda Regiment adopted the Mini-14 GB in 1983, customizing it with heavier barrels, flash hiders, and bayonet lugs. They used the rifle for over 3 decades before replacing it with the British L85A2. In Northern Ireland, the Royal Ulster Constabulary issued select-fire AC556 variants during the Troubles, preferring them as a politically safer alternative to full-sized battle rifles. Even French police licensed the design as the Mousqueton AMD, and in the US, agencies like the Department of Energy and NYPD's Emergency Service Unit kept Mini-14s in service well into the AR-15 era. Ruger never highlighted these contracts, but they show the Mini-14's quiet utility in serious roles. 8. A dark legacy, the Mini-14 in tragedy. The Mini-14's history isn't just about ranch work and police duty. It has a darker side, too. In 1986, during the infamous Miami FBI shootout, criminal Michael Platt used a Mini-14 to deadly effect, killing 2 agents and wounding 5 others. The rifle fired 42 rounds without a single malfunction. That event changed U.S. law enforcement forever, prompting agencies to upgrade patrol rifles. Tragically, the Mini-14 appeared again in mass shootings, including the 1989 Montreal Massacre, Norway's Utoya Island attack in 2011, and the 2020 Nova Scotia rampage. Each incident sparked new debates over gun laws and left a lasting mark on public perception, even though Ruger remained focused on civilian sales and avoided commenting on these events. 9. The 580 series, Ruger's quiet overhaul. In 2003, Ruger did something it never announced publicly. It stopped Mini-14 production for over a year to address decades-old accuracy complaints. When the rifle returned in 2005 as the 580 series, it was a very different machine. The new models featured heavier, tapered barrels, tighter manufacturing tolerances, and a redesigned gas system. These changes dramatically improved accuracy, shrinking groups from 3 to 4 MOA to under 2 MOA with factory ammunition. Yet Ruger never marketed these upgrades as fixes. There was no press release, no public admission that anything had been wrong. Most buyers didn't even realize the difference. They just noticed their new minis shot straighter. 10. Legacy and survival, the rifle that blends in. Despite controversies, design compromises, and changing markets, the Mini-14 endures. It isn't the most accurate rifle. It isn't the most modern, but it remains beloved because it's rugged, reliable, and unthreatening in appearance. In a world saturated with black rifle AR-15s, the Mini-14's classic profile helps it fly under the radar while still delivering practical performance. Its story is one of adaptation, from export variants and law enforcement contracts to tragic headlines and silent redesigns. The Mini-14 isn't just a rifle, it's a piece of American firearms history, shaped as much by what Ruger didn't say as by what they did. The rifle with secrets still untold. So the next time you see a Mini-14 leaning in the corner of a barn or resting on a range bench, remember, this unassuming carbine hides more history, controversy, and innovation than its simple looks suggest. From hidden AR-15 roots and rare calibers to military service and quiet redesigns, the Mini-14 has always been more than just a ranch rifle. And even now, half a century after its debut, some of its secrets remain behind closed doors.